Hello, and Nili. Good morning. Good
Yeah.
afternoon.
Good evening or good night, whatever suits your time frame.
Mhm.
Um, we are here to do our regular weekly live chat. We do this every Tuesdays with coffee. What have you, Neely? What have you?
Coffee with MCT oil powder.
Oh, I have just the black coffee.
Yeah, it's always because you're better than me.
It looks a little bit like a dark pit, but it's delicious.
Yes, like my soul.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not wrong.
yeah.
Okay. So, how's everybody doing? We already have plenty of people popping into the chat, which I
Yes,
love.
we do.
We have Gary
Gary's here
here
and Rick Wynn.
and Rickwin and Blaze. Precious.
Yes,
Who else? We've got Jennifer and Risa here. Hello, Risa. Are you not running errands today?
yeah.
What? That's
Risa is
amazing.
here.
And Debbie is here. Hello, Debbie. So
The not KetoCon Debbie Armstrong is what I'm thinking again.
I concur with you. So, we've met many a Debbie. And
Yes.
Risa is hoping to pay attention this time doing errands on her way to pick up smoked pellets and tomato plants. I
Ooh,
swear,
nice.
Risa always seems to be doing things. Always. Maybe
He's a
it's just
doer.
today, but
Yeah,
she's a doer. She is a
yeah.
doer. Anyway, so how has your week gone?
My week has been okay, except that I am currently sick.
That gets really
I started, well, I was feeling kind of run down a couple days ago, and I was trying to just like, oh, it's nothing, whatever. And then I got the sore throat, and then I can't I can't ignore it anymore.
oh,
So last night the sore throat was pretty bad up until about 3:30 a.m. Then I feel like I kind of turned a corner. From 3:30 to now, I feel better, and obviously coffee helps.
for sure.
So so
For sure. It's the elixir of
my voice may not hold out. You're gonna have to do most of the talking today.
well, that's not hard.
Yeah, that's true. I figured you could handle it.
I might be able to make it. So my past week was banana sandwich crazy pants, super busy, and it doesn't feel like it's slowing down at all. Um, I do, however, feel also subpar at this point. I have determined, though, it is definitely allergies because I have tried the variety of different um, head cold remedies, all of the different like over the counter type things, as well as homeopathic versions of the things, and I have not improved until I hate saying this out loud. I took some Zyrtec, and all of a sudden, all of my symptoms
Shame.
evaporated. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you?
You took a pharmaceutical medicine.
I know.
Haven't
How
you
very
heard that
dare
all of those
I?
will kill you?
It's
They're
going to
almost
kill
as
me.
bad as plants.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're for sure not wrong. And I found out also that it was expired.
Even better. Actually, that probably makes it work better.
So I found out that this bottle had expired October of this past year, and I'm like,
Oh, that's nothing.
I also noticed that it only like it's supposed to be a once every 24 hours medication, and it only lasted 12. So I was like,
So things are bad.
I guess that's just wonderful, brilliant. So if I start coughing or get a dry throat, I too will struggle, but we will press on and
Yes. And
keep
if we have
towards.
to end before the hour and a half mark, that's fine too.
I'm fully expecting us to hopefully stop at 1 hour because there are many other things that I have to accomplish today that I
Yes.
it's
Yes.
been busy around these parts. I mean, we've had swimming, we've had like a whole host of things and writing lessons and trying to get things prepared for our vacation Bible school and just traveling with for Jared and just it's every which way. Every
Oh,
which way. We're busy, busy little
yes.
bees.
Okay, you told me a story on Marco Polo the other day, and I wondered if you wanted to share it here because I thought people would get a kick out of it. Is
They
that something
might
you would
actually
share?
get a huge kick
You
out of
know
it.
what I'm talking about, right?
I
Not
sure
the
do. In
embarrassing thing.
fact,
I'm just kidding.
I purposed to remember that particular situation that is going to be shared right now. But first, let's check
Awesome.
up on comments really quickly
Okay.
because I don't want to get too
And
far.
anticipation, build up the anticipation. It's going to be a
Absolutely.
great story.
We're good YouTubers, yeah? so,
It's what you do.
so Vivian, hello, or no, it's Vian,
Diane.
maybe. Okay, she's drinking
Yeah.
coffee and watching us, two of her favorite YouTubers. Well,
Aw.
thank you. That is such a kind compliment. And then Cindy has arrived. Good afternoon. Yeah, she's an afternooner at this point. Good afternoon,
Yes, she's
Miss
saying good
Cindy.
morning to me,
Yeah.
specifically to me.
Debbie says this expired pharmaceutical that might have saved me. You're absolutely right. I
It's
definitely will
very
not.
possible.
Um,
Thank the Lord for expired pharmaceuticals.
right, right. So it's
Well,
not
and
as
I'm just
potent.
impressed that it was only from, what did you say, October? I've
Right.
gone through medicine cabinets before and I'm like, 12 years? Well, that should go in the garbage. It just shows you how much we take medicines like that. It's just not a common thing in our house at all.
Right. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
sure there are other things that are expired in there. And I'm pretty sure the oldest things we have are probably going to be eardrops from ear infections that I just never
Yes.
got rid of, which I probably should get rid of at this point because it
Yeah. Yeah.
probably a
When
good
we
idea.
moved, I purged so much stuff and I was like, how in the world did we accumulate all this stuff from, I mean, because we lived in that house for 13 years. So
Yeah.
you accumulate stuff.
Well, and then you accumulate things that you're like, okay, this might be possibly useful in the near enough
Yes.
future that I should hold on to it, but it doesn't really have a good landing spot. So we're just going to
Yes.
shove it, and then we're just
Yes.
going to expect that that's where it lives forevermore.
Yes. And you're like, I would hate to have to buy this again after throwing
Yes.
it away. But then
Oh,
it
yeah.
sits there for 10 years and you don't use it. And you're like, I should have thrown this away 10 years ago.
I have a pastry cutter in my quote unquote, like not junk drawer, but my underused utensils drawer. You know, like where you
Mm,
throw like the rolling pin or you put the juice like the juicer squeezer
mm.
dude or like your thermometers for meats or just like random little stuff and things, right? So I opened that the other day. I have a potato masher in there. What? Why?
I have a video coming out after this where I used a potato masher for a
So I'll
keto
hold on
recipe.
to it for now.
Yeah, don't throw it away yet.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. I was
It's
so
not.
excited when I was like, oh my gosh, brilliant.
Oh man, I already have like thoughts rolling in my head as to what you're about to do.
You could guess probably.
I probably could, but I won't do it on live. Okay. So,
Well, anybody in the chat, if you want to guess, go ahead. There are people
okay.
that could guess for sure. So,
So
and
I
I'll,
opened
yeah.
this drawer and I've got a pastry cutter. I have not used a pastry cutter in a coon's age, so it's like, why do we have this? Why? Why? I don't understand it, but we do. And at this stage of the
Mhm.
game, like, maybe I won't get rid of it just yet because the girls are kind of into the whole like baking thing and they kind of ebb and flow and
Yes.
it could be useful for them making croissant. I don't know. We're just gonna or biscuit,
Yes.
Anyway. Okay.
Well, I feel like there are keto recipes you could use it for too. Like if you were going to make those keto chow biscuits, like
Sure, sure, sure,
there's
sure.
still times that you would want to cut butter into something.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I
But
just
then
have
at the same
found
time, it's like you can't keep everything.
you can't. You really can't. And I
You
am
have to
such
make a decision.
a declutterer of just like excess things typically.
Yes.
But then I also find myself like, oh, I've got 3 sets of these markers. I should probably like donate 2 of the 3 sets. But then it's like when the girls go through all of those sets or that the rest of those markers, then I'm going to need to replace them. And why would I give away what I'm going to need to replace because those are consumable at some point? I'm like,
Exactly.
it's
It's always a balance. And you
oh
never get it exactly right. There's always a time where you throw it away and then the next day you're like, why? I needed it.
that's
After
right.
after 10 years of not needing it, today I need it. And then
Yeah,
other times you're like, I'm definitely gonna need this. And then you come back and you're like,
never need it.
I did not need it. So
Yeah.
frustrating. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love how like with the two crazy ketos, Joe is a very big proponent of having the right tool for the
Oh
job.
yes.
And Rachel is very much so just like use whatever works that's handy. And I fall
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle of those two ends of the
Yes.
spectrum, but 9 times out of 10, I'm just gonna use whatever is handy because if I don't drop what I'm doing now to fix that situation,
Mm.
I'll never remember to come back to it.
Yeah. I feel like me and Jeff and I, no, Jeff and me, sorry,
There
grammar. Um, Jeff and me are um, the same, but about different things.
Sure.
So he's like, why can't you just get rid of half of those kitchen appliances, you know? And I'm like, why can't you just get rid of half of those things in the garage? I don't know what they're for. So we're both like declutterers of other
Other
things. So it doesn't really work out very well.
Yeah, it's like how many socket wrenches or socket sets do you require? Because
Yes.
we have metric, we have imperial, and then we have multiples of certain sockets. Why do we need multiples of everything? I do not know.
Well, and he would give you an exact reason. And
And it
because
would
he's
make
thought
sense,
about it and he knows why we would need that.
but also
Just
that's
like
why
I know why I need 4 air fryers.
or 2 instant pots or on your case like however many instant pots. It all makes sense.
It makes sense to me.
Yes.
I posted a story a week or two ago. I was decluttering my Instant Pot accessory bins
Uh-huh.
and I had so many trivets. So many. Like I should have counted them because I probably got rid of at least 10. Like so many. Well, and it's because one comes free with every, or it comes with each Instant Pot. So I'll buy an Instant Pot, I'll review it, and I'll give it away. And I don't usually remember to go get the trivet to give it away. And then also I've had 2 Instant Pots that died and that Instant Pot replaced for me. So that was 2 trivets with the original ones. And then when I got the replacements, it's 2 more trivets. So anyways, I was like, this is ridiculous. How in the world do I have so many trivets? But then also there's all different kinds of trivets. So I
Yeah.
have ordered, additional ones from Amazon because ones with the tall legs and ones that hold the eggs and ones with handles and ones without handles. And, so I've both had it done to me and done it to myself.
Yeah, I find that I've never gone to the point of using silicone trivets because those can be very handy when you're pot in
They
pot
were.
mixing. But I've always just made do with whatever I've got and moved on with my life. But I also have never had to eliminate an instant pot, and therefore
Yes.
I've never acquired extra pieces.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting pretty on my instant pot accessories. I'm content with what I have access to,
That's
and
great.
whatever I don't have access to, I just sort of fashion out of foil, which also will apparently give me Alzheimer's and kill me. So
Yes. Oh, for sure. I don't know how you're still alive.
I am an oxymoron. I'm dead but alive.
Yeah. Yeah, and like back when my channel was more focused on Instant Pot things, there was on top of it like the excuse of, oh, I need to get this, whatever new thing to review it or to show it or whatever because people are interested. But I don't have that excuse anymore, so I'm like letting go of a lot of the Instant Pot stuff that was fun to play with, but not something I ended up using all the time.
Sure.
But the
Yeah.
silicone trivet I kept. That like the sling, that's nice, like especially for cheesecakes because it like wraps around the pan
Yeah.
and it's very handy. I used it for my yogurt too, like the El
Uh-huh.
Ruderai yogurt and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been fairly content with the metal one in the 8-quart pot because it moves well
Mhm.
enough for me that I
Yes.
haven't had to navigate that any other way. And so I'm really happy where I am now. If I start using it even more than what I am now, I'll consider other things. But I feel like
Yes.
I think when did I get that thing? It must have been 2019, 2018, and it's still going
Nice.
strong. I still
And
love
is
it.
it which kind is it? Is it the Pro with the handles?
No, that's the
Oh,
original 8-quart instant pot duo.
okay. I feel like those last longer. Like the
You
newer
get
ones are not made quite as well. And
mm,
thankfully, Instant Pot has good customer service, so they do replace things a lot. But a lot of people with those very new or like the very old original ones, like they just
uh-huh.
go forever. So hang on to
Well,
it.
I tell you what, making the decision to have the 8-quart as my first pot was definitely the right choice, even
Mhm.
though at the time we were only like, I mean, we still are only a family of 5. Like we're not a huge family, but still like having the max
Yes.
capacity is huge. But then the mini that
Yes.
you gave me, it's like it's my everyday carry all the time.
Yes.
That's my everyday user right there.
Yeah, so I have this the 8-quart of the Pro with the handles. I mean, the handles
Mhm.
are such an amazing, you know, addition, but yeah. So I have the 8-quart with the handles. I have the 3-quart BB-8 Star Wars
I love
pot
that.
that I
It's
love.
so
And
cute.
so I use both of those a lot, but then I also have the Pro
Mhm.
Plus, the Instant Pot Pro Plus, and that's the one that has the Wi-Fi and it has the max setting, and it
Okay.
has like the auto vent settings. It's all like touch screen, but they only make that one in the 6-quart.
Oh,
If they made it in the 8-quart, I might replace my Pro with that, but I can't just have a 6-quart and not
yeah.
an 8-quart. Like
Oh,
that just so I have those three. Those are the three that I
mm,
use.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're so
But I
good.
finally got rid of my 10-quart because I just didn't use it enough.
Okay.
And with Instant Pots, it's like you have to get the right size because like a 10-quart is great if you're always making big meals, but there's a minimum amount of liquid that you must have.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to make smaller meals, you don't have that option.
Yeah.
So you kind of it's not always bigger is better and gives you always more options. If that makes sense.
That does
So for
make
us,
sense.
the 8-quart is fantastic.
I love a good 8-quart. It's
Yeah.
fantastic for us as well. Okay,
Yes.
really quickly, let's come back to the chat and then I'll tell my cool story. Maybe.
Yes. Everyone's
Okay, we have
dying. So.
Michelle Stoffer here. Hello, precious. Um, baby Peyton is asleep in the stroller. That is
Aw.
fantastic. Also, the running. I have questions about your sanity when it comes to the running. The
Oh,
walking quickly, I'm in, but the running. Ugh.
I've never been a runner. I've tried, because it's always been promised if you become a runner, you'll be skinny.
Well, I
And I
always hear
tried
about
it and it
that.
didn't work. I'm still bitter about that.
I've always heard about like the runner's high, the euphoric
Yes.
feeling after a run, and I'm like, nah, no,
No,
it's not
it
for me.
doesn't exist. No.
I'm
Yeah.
perfectly
Same
happy.
with the fasting. People are like, oh, you just get to this place where you feel like you're on top of the world. And I'm like,
No,
never been there. Sorry.
I really enjoy food. I appreciate everything that it does for me, and I'm going to continue to appreciate it and honor it by consuming it.
There you go. There you go.
And then who else did we have here? Marcy Black. Good afternoon. I'm glad you were able to pop in during your lunch break.
Yes.
Um,
Natalie Rice and Jen Bob.
yes. Hello, hello.
Ooh, Jen discovered the Instant Pot during lockdown. That is a good time
That
to
yeah.
play with an Instant Pot. Let me tell you,
I
learn how to make
also
sourdough bread and play with an Instant Pot.
so I had sourdough long before lockdown ever even was, a
Yes,
flip. So I did not go back into the sourdoughing after the lockdown happened. I had already had that run its course through my system and I was ready to move on from that.
yes, yes. Natalie says that she's new here and would love to see more keto Instant Pot recipes, especially lactose-free ones. Yeah, I'm trying to reduce dairy a little bit, not completely eliminate it, but gonna do some more dairy-free. And then I tend to do more like Instant Pot recipes towards the winter time. That's
Yeah.
just seems to make sense for stuff. I do a lot of air fryer recipes during the summer and then
Yeah.
other, just other cold things, but Instant Pot tends to come out a lot more in the Dutch oven during the winter and the fall. So there you go. And
Yeah.
I do have an entire playlist with probably hundreds of videos of Instant Pot. It's called Instant Pot Adventures. It's not all keto, but there are a lot of keto recipes in there and ideas. So if you can't wait until the winter to get a whole bunch more Instant Pot recipes, you can watch that playlist and get some ideas.
Excellent,
I
excellent
also have a
recommendation.
cookbook for the Instant Pot
She does. I love that
that
cookbook. So
exists as well.
cool.
And there are some keto recipes in there and a lot of recipes that have keto options where you can make some substitutions and make it into a keto recipe. So there you go.
Yep. Also, hello, Alan. We're glad you're here. Michelle said it's only
Alexander.
90 degrees outside. Bless your
Ooh,
little heart.
it's supposed to it's supposed to get up to 92 here today.
What?
Yeah, it's been
Oh,
so beautiful, just like perfect balance of weather where you don't need a heater, you don't need an air conditioner. You can just exist and be fine. But I
wow.
think it's warmer now.
That's fantastic. So it's supposed to get up to 80 here. And we've started swimming lessons for the summer session. Usually I think there's
Oh.
like maybe like 5 cycles of 2 weeks per session. And the so I initially thought like, oh, it's summertime, and it had been like 90 plus degrees over the weekend. And I was like, yes, the outdoor pool, they have a playground area for the big girls to play. I
Hmm.
can just sit on the grass and absorb all of the sun's vitamin D transformative powers. I was so
Mhm.
excited for it. We
Mhm.
show up at the outdoor pool like we always do. And then I get explained like, oh no, the month of June, all of the pool, like all the swim lessons will be at the indoor pool. And I'm like,
How sad.
why? I want all the vitamin D, not some. I want it
Yes.
all of it.
Yes.
So
Wow.
that sort of gave me some sadness. You would think like at 90 degrees it would be great, but then yesterday it was 56 degrees until about 8 a.m. and then it
Wow.
finally peaked at about 64 degrees.
Yeah, we haven't gotten
It's a
to the
weird
river yet to swim this year, but it's gonna have to happen soon. That's so
day.
fun.
Yeah. I mean, come on, weather, get it together. It's summertime. It's supposed to be
Mhm.
scalding hot where we enjoy the pool all the time.
Yeah. Although there have been plenty of years here in Oregon where like the 4th of July is rainy and cold. So
Yeah,
it's like you never can tell. It's only June 6th. It's crazy.
it's a good time. It's a good time.
All
Okay.
right.
So, my
Oh,
story.
your story.
My
Yes.
story. We got to tell the
Everyone
story.
get ready.
So, everybody knows that we went to KetoCon and we had a blast and we
Mhm.
thoroughly enjoyed lots of the discussions that we heard. And one
Yes,
of the
we did.
ones that we talked about was a carnivore panel in the main stage. And on that main stage was one Dr. Robert Kiltz.
Yes.
And we were
The man himself.
fascinated by him. So fascinated. And
He
he is
is a
also
very interesting guy.
he's the fertility, like the keto fertility doctor, right? We figured out after the fact, he flew himself to KetoCon in his little airplane, and then he flew himself back home. Well, my husband, being a pilot, has the opportunity to dabble in the world of aviation, right? He flew to New York City on Sunday, and who did he run into at the airport? He ran into Dr. Kilt. Why?
What?
It was so cool. He texts me after the fact. He's like, guess who I ran into? Guess. You're not going to guess. And I was like, you're right. I'm not going to guess.
Not gonna
Because
guess.
sometimes he's run into like a whole host of like celebrities. You just never know who he's going to like run into. And normally it's not him running into these people. Normally it's him just observing them in the same location
From
as
a distance. Yeah.
himself. So he goes, I ran into Dr. Kiltz and I talked to him.
Did he get a selfie?
He did not.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
disappointing.
when it
I
when
need
it comes
proof.
when it comes to the world of aviation, especially whenever you're kind of in a more corporate setting rather than a commercial setting, there's there's kind of a way to like you approach a lot of things with a little bit more discretion,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you tend to have a little bit
More
more like,
refined. Yeah.
yeah, because you never know who wants their picture out there or who, like,
Right.
a lot of these people, they wind up getting, the worst kind of pictures taken of them and then plastered
Mm.
all over the interwebs. So, and Jared's not exactly like a super selfie guy. He's
Right.
just like,
Yeah.
so
I can see that.
talked to Dr. Kiltz. He was like, yeah, I saw you at KetoCon. And Dr. Kiltz said, that's fantastic. And, like they had a very short conversation about the KetoCon and he mentioned both you and I, and he had no recollection.
Understandable.
I said, well, I'm pretty sure that he barely like briefly met Nili and then moved on about his business in
Yes.
event that they met.
Yes. Well,
And he was like,
when we met him, Jeff, again, same with what he did with Dr. Barry. He's like, yeah, what was your name? Jeff didn't know who he was, and he was like, oh, I'm Rob.
yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah.
You gotta have a Jeff in your life to just sort of like bring everybody down a notch.
Yeah. Yeah. Just humility is a good thing.
Oh, for sure. And if you can't humble yourself, somebody in the world will be able to help you with
Jeff
that.
will.
So they talked KetoCon for like 28 seconds. They talked airplanes for a little bit. And then Jared said, I didn't want to be weird and like over intrude. So he was like, so I went ahead and I like said it was great to chat with you. And then he moved on. So
That's awesome.
overall, it was
Maybe
really
they'll
cool.
just keep bumping into each other and they'll become best friends. Best pilot friends.
Well, it's so silly because I'm pretty sure that if you were to ask the world at large who Dr. Kiltz is, nobody but like the 3% who are aware of him would even say, oh, really?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Isn't it funny how, like, I feel like this is a new phenomenon, somewhat. It used to be like if you were famous, like there's such a smaller amount of people that were famous. And they were famous to everyone because they were on like one of the, 3 or 4 TV networks.
Sure.
Now it's like there's room for so many people to be famous in like these really small little niches.
Yeah.
It's like a really weird phenomenon. Like people wanted to take pictures with us. Like that's crazy. Like we're famous to certain people. Now we're not famous to, most people.
Right.
But to that like narrow group, like it's just such a weird world that we live in now. Like when else would you be able to have that happen? Like the internet has really changed everything.
Yeah, it's a bizarre situation. And it's not one that I think that my brain will ever fully comprehend, but it's definitely fun. It's fun, entertaining, and weird all together.
Yeah. And I was talking, I think it was an interview's coming out soon with 2 Crazy Ketos on their podcast that I did with them. And I think it was when I was talking to them, we were talking about kids and like what do they think of, us being YouTubers and being famous. And it's like, it's kind of like, they're not even really, it doesn't really affect them because it's not like we have paparazzi. It's not like, we get noticed every once in a while when we're out, but it's so rare. It's not like an invasive thing in our lives. Like we're just living our lives. They know that mom makes videos, but it's not like we have this audience that's interfering in our lives all the time. It's not like I read the comments to them or anything,
For sure.
So it's really different. Like the whole idea of like child actors.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like that's even a concern with like the setup that we have. They're just living their lives and they know that mom takes videos of them. And they want to be a part of, like recipe videos and stuff, but that's more about spending time with me, I think, than trying to impress any kind of an audience. Like that's really not on their radar at all. So I'm happy about that, we can have this, whatever you want to call it, fame. Still feels weird to say that, but then it not really impede on our life in a dramatic way. I mean, there's always sacrifices, but it's not like it just dictates how we can live or anything like that.
Yeah. My children, they don't really think anything of it. It's just an activity mom does. It's mom's hobby, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. And we feel very normal,
Right.
It's like we don't.
There's no weirdness.
Such a weird phenomenon.
I mean, and then granted, I've also got a significantly smaller channel, so I feel like there's a significantly smaller amount of people that would even have me come across their radar. So that's, it's even further minimized in our life. I did have somebody who stared really hard at me yesterday at the swimming pool, like really hard. And I was walking past him and I was thinking like, do I stop? Do I say hello? What do I do in this situation? I figured out that he was just trying to read my shirt and it was my hyperbole shirt.
That's funny. So I think I might have told this story in one of our live streams, but when after KetoCon, like we were at the conference and we would have people coming up to us. And so there'd be people kind of like waiting, like to talk to us. And you could tell that they were, wanting to talk to us. And so I kind of got into that mode. And then, so when we left and we were coming home, like in the airport in Texas, I kept like feeling like people were looking at me, and I was like, I had to like retrain my brain, like, no, you're not famous here.
Right.
Like that's over. And so we flew home and it was late at night when we got into Portland, and we get off the plane and Jeff has to go to the bathroom. So he's in the bathroom and I'm waiting outside. And like there's this guy and I feel like he's looking at me and I'm like, quiet down. He's not looking at you. Like nobody cares.
Yeah.
And he did come over to me and he's like, you're Indigo Nili. And he wasn't even from KetoCon. He was off to, go to his uncle's birthday party or something. But he's like, yeah, I watch your videos, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, this is so weird. But it's just such a funny thing where I'm like, okay, he's not looking at you. It's no big deal. Shut off your brain.
Humble yourself.
Exactly. And then he's like, you're Indigo Nili.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It was a good time. It
was. All right. Let's see.
Significant as, some random pilot fangirling over you at some little airport like Dr. Kiltz. So
yeah, I bet Dr. Kiltz gets that all the time.
I mean, look at him. He's just so intriguing looking to begin with that you're just like drawn to him. It's that super white, bright hair. It's so fascinating.
Yes. And he's so friendly and so personable. You just feel like you could be his best friend.
I mean, but he will share with you that plants are going to kill you.
Yes.
Plants are going to kill you. But also it's okay to have a little bit of sugar, but plants are going to kill you.
Yes. They don't kill you so fast that you can't have a little bit of sugar.
I mean,
in your ice cream.
But only if it's Dr. Kiltz's ice cream.
Exactly. Nothing else.
We have standards.
All the rest will kill you.
We have standards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was going to say Dr. Kiltz features in the Reversed TV series. So if anyone wants to hear more from him, obviously he has all kinds of videos and things. But then also if you want to, hear all of that, that was fun to watch.
I tell you what, I actually was glad that I did not go and watch it until after it had been like fully premiered and all the way on YouTube's, because it meant that I could watch it at 1.5 or 2 speed.
Oh, yes.
Because I tell you what, some of those pauses between people's thought processes, I was just like, huh?
It's the dramatic effect.
Say words. I cannot say words. I can't. I struggle so
with the documentary. It's like you have to like pause and contemplate. Yeah.
No. Say the words. Move on. Say it. I think I got through. I mean, it was probably like 4 to 4.5 hours worth of actual edited production footage that they shared with the world. And I was like, we can wield that down to 2 hours. Let's go.
There you go.
And I also would fast forward through like the little intro every time because we know we got.
Yeah. We've been there. Yeah. I still haven't finished the last episode. Episode 5 came out and I'm like, I need to finish it.
Well, I tell you what, there's only so many things we can absorb at one time, right?
I know. Whew.
And I've purchased like a whole bunch of books. Well, not purchased, but like I've got a whole bunch of books that I have purchased throughout the past, 6 or 8 months. And I'm like, I need to finish reading this one and stop cherry picking out of that one because I need to finish reading all the books. I got to finish reading them.
And then you have children that need things.
Oh my stars.
Don't they? Like, this just takes up all my time.
They really do require the transportation. They require the teaching them things, the feeding them things, the teaching them how to eat the things, how to prepare it's just, there's much involved in training up a tiny human.
Yes. Or multiple.
Also, it sounds to me like they're cannonballing downstairs in a way that's raucous.
Let's call it exercise.
Yes. Well, we have, I'm sorry, I'm trying to listen for just a second because I'm like, I can't quite tell. Is that a entertained it like, yeah, or is it like I am in pain and my bone has popped through my muscle?
Okay, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
Well, especially
with
through
that
the
first scream.
Well, the fishbowl also sort of distorts the sound a little bit. Positive, it's fine. We're fine. We
Okay,
have a
good.
bunch of thick foam mattresses that we use whenever we have people sleep over or we have extra people come in or whatever the case may be. So they presently have a stack of mattresses along with all of the bedding and the pillows that they've been, playing with, which means they're trying to see who can jump and have the funnest time doing it.
That sounds great. So my kids do that where they get all the pillows and blankets in the house and make a pile, and they call it a floof. That is the name in our house.
I love it.
Mom, we're gonna make a floof.
Yes. As long as nobody busts a tooth out that's permanent, we'll
Mhm.
all be okay.
As long as it's floofy enough.
Right, right. Well, that's the value added in these foam mattresses. We had Jared's family
Yeah.
come and stay with us, like his extended family, his cousin and her family.
Mhm.
And so we had extra mattresses out for the children and all kinds of fun things. And then of course we hosted a sleepover. I don't know why I get myself into those things. Like it was a lot of fun, but also I still yet to recover from the sleep deprivation that resulted from the sleepover. Like, why did
Yes.
they call it a sleepover? They should call it a wakeover because that's just about all it is.
Well, I have worked out with a mom friend of mine who has 3 girls the same ages as all of my girls, or 3 of my
Three
girls.
of your girls, yeah.
Yeah. And so we have a deal for the summer where one week they sleep over there and then the next week they sleep over here. So it actually works out really nicely because I'll get every other week I get a whole 24 hours. Well, just Levi and Autumn, which
Yeah.
they can handle them.
Oh yeah.
So that's nice. And then since they're all such good friends, when they come over, it's like I put them on the chore list and like it's not only fun and games. Like, sometimes you have a sleepover and it's just like it's just playing the whole time. But this is more like they get to be part of our family for the 24 hours and it works out
That's
really
really cool.
well. Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds
I
like
like
a
it.
really awesome advantage to
So
the
that helps me
situation.
get some filming in because I can, manage Levi and then actually get a little bit of filming done. So that's
Yeah.
going to be good for the summer.
You just hand him 3 bananas and say, "Go to town, child."
Exactly. Exactly. That's what he needs. Yeah. The other day I was on Marco Polo with Lindsey and Levi comes up and he's like, I just ate 3 bananas without asking. I was like, thanks for letting me know. Okay.
Could have been worse. Could have been way, way worse.
It could have been worse. Yeah. And he was just so proud of himself. Just 3 bananas and I didn't even ask.
It's like, well, your guts are gonna banana eat now.
Amazingly,
Good on you, kid.
he can eat boatloads of fruit and it does not affect his digestion. One little
Wow.
crumb of an egg and he's dying, but he can eat like a bucket of fruit. No
All
problem.
the fruit.
Yeah, I don't understand that boy's
So
digestion at all.
he needs to be a vegan then?
Now he can handle the meat. Like steak is his favorite thing, or one of
Oh,
besides
'cause
bananas.
steak is a beautiful thing.
As long as you have steak and bananas, you're good.
I think there's a real marketable diet in that formula.
I think Paul Saladino already did it.
I mean,
Add some honey and you're good.
like, although I have to admit, adding honey and bananas onto your steak might not make for the best combination.
There's
So
a
we
way
might
it
have
could
to
work.
practice. I cannot. I
Uh,
cannot.
yeah.
But I also I don't usually add sauces to steak.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't usually add anything but salt to steak
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
I like
That's where I'm at.
variety. I like variety with steak. So sometimes it'll be, and I like smoked salt. That's my favorite. I know that's not your absolute favorite, but it's my favorite. So I'll do smoked salt and pepper, and that's good. And then I do like the variety of occasional sauces, occasional like sprinkle toppings or butter, herb butter or whatever. So
I can be on board with butter.
okay.
Salt and butter, I'm down.
Yeah.
Just salt, I'm down.
Okay.
A lot of extra things, I'm like, where's the meat flavor? I need the meat. I need the meat.
Okay. Here's one thing that everyone might be interested in trying. I haven't done it in a while and I need to do it again. So make a steak, however, salt and pepper or whatever, and then melt butter on it after, and then sprinkle salt and vinegar seasoning on it. It's weird and delicious. And like the salt and vinegar and the butter kind of make a sauce.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I could definitely understand how having the cutting nature of vinegar come in.
Yes.
Would
It
really
like adds that like
like
brightness.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So I appreciate the option. Am I gonna do it? No.
If you're happy with your salt, why change?
I mean, I'm so happy with the simple stuff in life. Black coffee, steak and salt with butter. I got it all set.
Yep.
Okay.
Chris is here.
Hello, Chris, cooking Nashville. Have you cooked all of Nashville yet?
Yeah, cooking Nashville. It's going to take a while.
It's going to take a minute, for sure, for sure.
He says, boys can do much worse. I used a permanent marker to make myself Tigger when I was little. That sounds something like something Levi would do. I went to church with tiger stripes the next day. Started for 3 weeks. Yep. Your poor mother. Her name was Pam, I believe, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, we were supposed to say hi to Pam in the mashed potato video. Hi, Pam. Mm-hmm. Hopefully Chris shares this with you and we can say hi, Pam.
And hopefully the tiger stripes have washed off by now.
I mean, he said it only lasts for 3 weeks.
Oh.
So
yeah.
It's a good time.
Oh,
good
Blaze
time.
likes steak dipped in ranch dressing. That's not you? I would do that. I would do like a ranch dressing mixed with a barbecue sauce to make like a barbecue ranch with a steak. I think that like those combinations would be good. But each their own, or like a blue cheese dressing. Love that.
I will for sure support anybody eating steak the way that they see fit.
Yeah.
Unless it's well done. And then I'm sorry. I know. I'm going to have to agree to disagree with you on that one.
You either have it rare or you go all the way to beef jerky. There's no in between. Yes, Jen, it's the Port King Good salt and vinegar seasoning is the one I use. That one is delicious. Okay, what?
So Peggy, hello. We're excited that you're here. She says when her boys were 5 and 6, they helped her clean the walls by washing them in Vaseline.
Now that's a technique I have not heard.
I haven't seen that one on the cleaning channels before. Oh my stars, that would be awful.
That would be awful. Greasy walls forever.
Oh my goodness, could you imagine the amount of dust that would collect if you didn't get all of that eradicated? Like, oh.
Wow.
Oh. And it would just continue to collect all the things. Like, kids, they run around like with their hands out touching the walls all the time. Regardless of whether they're thinking about it. It's more or less like the walls are also part of like hanging on to things. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't do this, but whenever you're coming around a corner a little bit faster than you thought you were, you grab the wall to kind of help you pivot around.
Yes.
There are certain areas that have more fingerprint traffic than others.
Oh, for sure.
I can't imagine trying to deal with Vaseline. Although it would be funny to put Vaseline on those finger spots and see how many people fall.
Yeah. So Jeff has been working on the beehive. So we had, issues with bees. They died. We got the honey. That was great. And we got a new, what are they called? I forget. Nucleus. Nuke. To start a new hive. And then those died. And that was really sad. And then we got another one. They're doing great now. So, but on the pole, because he has it up on a pole, and to try to keep ants from going up, you do Vaseline on the pole.
That makes sense.
I believe he did it, and it didn't work as well as we had hoped, but I think it did help a little bit.
Yeah. Fascinating. Using Vaseline is quite the thing, isn't it? Like, you see the name of it, petroleum jelly, and you're like, I'm rubbing gasoline on me. And it's like, no,
it is a weird product.
But it is a weird product thing, right?
Yeah. Okay. And like Vaseline has place for certain things, but I'd rather use coconut oil or something when I can, like for
Sure.
cat
Same.
stick or whatever.
Yeah.
It does
Oh
have
yeah. Yeah.
coconut oil
Especially like
probably
to
would
send
not
that
keep
out.
the ants away from the beehive.
Yeah. I mean, you could always just pour borax around the outside of the
That's true.
hole.
Yeah. We also tried diatomaceous earth
Oh,
around
I
it.
do love that too.
Yeah.
That's good.
The only thing is that if the bees get into it, it'll hurt them too. And probably same with the borax.
Oh,
But I don't know that, I mean, because it's on the ground, I don't know if they would, whatever. That's all Jeff's, thing. He
sure.
figures all that bee stuff out.
And you just ask him, why do we have all these extra things? Can't we declutter?
Yeah, right. Like, no, I need that for this and this for that and that for this. Yeah.
All good.
Dr.
All good.
Dr. Chafee frosts his steak with tallow. That is an option. And Kelly Hogan always did the bacon grease on her meat cookies. You can totally do that.
Very good.
Yeah. There are all kinds of ways. There's so much variety, even within, a carnivore diet.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and I never will, well, reverse that. I don't think I will ever go full carnivore for
Yeah.
any extended length of time just because I really love pecans.
Mhm.
And I struggle with that all the stinking time. And
Yes.
I I want to have the opportunity to enjoy those. Um, and that's not something I'm willing to sit there and argue with carnivore peoples about.
Mhm.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
just I'm content to be my keto self, leaning ketovore, leaning just regular keto, like just leaning one direction or the other, however my
Yes.
feels direct me that day.
And obviously, if you started having some serious health concern or issue, you would make adjustments like you do.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Or I would just tell myself, self, we're just not going to be optimal. So we're just going to have excuses here to just not be optimal.
Yeah.
I
That's
wouldn't do that.
totally
I would be like, no,
reasonable.
we have to figure it out. We got to work it out.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Let's see.
Cindy said when her boys were about 3 and 4, they thought it would be cute. They threw her freshly laundered clothes from a laundromat at that out the second floor balcony into a tree.
I just wanted to hang them to dry.
I mean, or they were decorating the tree. You know,
Let's put a positive
either
spin on
side.
this.
She said they're lucky to see their 40s nowadays.
Yep. You must be a saint.
So Cindy also just suggested that I roast pecan pieces in butter to use as a mix-in with vanilla keto chow. Like that sounds really good.
Ooh.
Every time I make candied pecans or do anything with pecans, they never make it to their intended purpose. And I don't know what that's about, but
Ooh, you have like a pecan burglar?
pilfer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's problems with that.
That makes me think of something that I've pondered. Keto recipes. There's
Yeah.
there's this tension between making a keto recipe that tastes really good and making a keto recipe that doesn't taste good enough so that you're not tempted to binge it. And I feel like us as recipe creators will put out a video and we'll on the same video we can get both, comments like this is a terrible recipe and this recipe is so good that I can't control myself with it. And you're like, I can't win.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
so
yeah.
it's like, because I do get some criticism like this tastes too good. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Make it taste worse? Like,
You know what? If it tastes too good for you, let's add something weird in there. That
yeah.
way it's good enough to like satisfy the craving without binging.
And it
Yeah.
kind of goes back to like everyone needs to decide what works for them and not make everyone else be beholden to their limitations. So it's like, it's kind of like the really militant carnivores that get angry when you like my carnivore noodle pasta recipe has been getting more views recently. And so I'm getting lots of, input. And it's like, how
Probably.
dare you call this recipe carnivore? And I'm like, eggs, gelatin,
It's the
ghee, like
salt.
they're
It's
all,
the salt.
but just, yeah, there you go. No, but it's not even just the salt. It's that it doesn't look like a pile of meat. If it doesn't look like a pile of meat, it's not carnivore. And how dare you say it's carnivore? Like I've gotten so many comments like that. And I'm like, if
Seriously?
you have a problem like with eating something that doesn't look like meat, then just own that problem. Like that's you. That's not me. I'm not binging on egg gelatin noodles. I'm sorry. Like that's if you have that problem, then you know what? You should seek help. But let's not like put that on everybody else. So, anyways,
That
that's my rant for
I
today.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I absolutely stand with you on that. If it is a problem for you as an individual, know your limitations and understand like some things are just not for you, right? Bananas, 3 bananas in a sitting is not for me.
Yeah, that
Therefore,
is
I
definitely for
can't
Levi.
do that. Levi, he enjoyed that immensely. Therefore, I'm not going to begrudge him something that is for him. Just
Yeah.
like he probably does not feel any type of way about everybody else eating eggs in the world or making egg recipes is like, that's not for me. I'm going to move on with my life and eat my
Yeah.
steak and my bananas and it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we could learn something from Levi.
Mm, yeah.
That's for goals.
Yeah. Well, I just that tension between it's like you get criticized for making a good recipe and you get criticized for making a bad recipe and it's like I don't know. What do you do?
Right. And I also kind of struggle with the whole like here is a recipe that is adjacent to something that we ate on standard American diet, like your noodles. We used to eat noodles on a standard American diet.
Mhm.
We figured out a way to produce something that is not standard American diet, gives us a similar experience to alleviate that issue. And it's not going to cause the binges, right?
Mhm.
But then it's like, well, why are you trying to replace standard American diet
You're still
foods?
addicted.
Yeah, and it's like I
I'm
I
not addicted to those noodles. I'm sorry.
I don't know that we can put everybody into tidy little containers
Yes.
when it comes to these kind of things. Like for me, pecans are a problem, and I know I keep harping on it. They are a problem.
Mm.
They're not a problem for my husband. So
Mm.
to sit there and
Yes.
condemn pecans as being a problem is not helpful to anybody. It
Right.
just it just is what it is. Just like there are certain foods where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to binge on pork rinds that are
Mm.
substitutes for chips. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem. My husband, on the other hand, he loves them, and he will
Mhm.
sit there and chow down on them like they're the last food on earth that he will ever get to eat. And so it's like, what's good for the goose is not always good for the gander,
Yeah.
and vice versa. And
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah. I 100% agree. Oh, Chris says that this is the subject of his blog coming out today. I am sure, Chris, that you have gotten these exact same comments.
yeah.
And I just, I, I yeah, I try to just ignore it, but it's just, it makes my brain hurt, like trying to understand why people would choose to articulate what they choose to articulate.
Sure.
It's just
Sure.
shocking.
Well, and I do think that a lot of it sort of comes back to like that fleshly nature of if it's not within my realm of control or within my thought processes, I have to either fix the problem for everyone else or
Mhm.
like I have to make sure that everybody else knows that I know what's right, even though it may not actually be right. Like it's a
Yeah,
validation
like a
issue or
justifying of what you're doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and everybody
Morality.
what they are, the morality
The
issue. That's
morality.
really
I
what
feel
it is.
like we
You're
just
right.
like with the whole diet thing, we just got to get out of that. Like I'm
Yeah.
more moral than you because I only eat grass finished beef or like and then it's the
Yeah.
same thing on the side the vegan side. Like they're more moral because they don't kill animals.
But
Uh,
they certainly eat all of the animals' food, and I eat the animals,
yeah,
so
well,
they're
and
eating
then
my
And then
They're
it's
taking
completely
it.
false that vegan food doesn't kill animals. Like animals have to
Yeah.
die to farm the soybeans, it's like it's just a reality of life. Anyways, like
Yep.
the whole morality behind it, like I eat clean keto, I don't eat dirty keto. I only eat, piles of meat. Cool. Like like why does
Yeah.
that make you a better person? Now, if someone really is genuinely eating, Chris's carnivore mashed potatoes and the carnivore noodles and the carnivore breading, and they're binging and like out of control,
Yeah.
that's a problem for them. But just because it's a problem for them does not mean it's a problem for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And
Mhm.
and so like I feel like in the carnivore world, it's like when people talk about substitute foods, they'll say, if I ate that, it would lead me to eating whatever, donut or whatever.
Yeah.
Therefore, eating a pure carnivore diet with no substitutions is more righteous or
Superior.
better or more moral. And you're like, you just can't, like that doesn't connect. And if you have a deficiency, like it's an idea that if I have that response, I'm going to put the problem onto that food rather than say the problem is within me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I feel like it's kind of like what's the term when you put something on projecting?
Yes.
You're projecting onto the food something bad because there's something inside of you that responds to it badly.
Sure.
So I feel like
Absolutely.
it's kind of a cop out. Like instead of dealing with what's inside of you, like if you really can't eat a egg white gelatin noodle without it making you go crazy, there's a problem in you. And it's totally fine if you live the rest of your life with that problem and you never touch any substitute foods. That's a great choice if you have that
Yeah.
inside of you. And I would never tell
Mhm.
anyone that they should go eat all of those things.
Right.
To say that those things are the problem and not what's going on in you. It's the same with alcoholism. Like
Yeah.
if you can't take a sip of alcohol without binging on alcohol, there's a problem inside of you. And
Right.
as long as you put that problem on the alcohol, you're not going to deal with what things that's inside of you. And I'm not saying that anyone should go and have to be able to drink alcohol. I'm just
Right.
saying let's be honest about ourselves and not feel like we have to justify and make ourselves this perfect thing and put all of the problems on external stuff.
Definitely agree.
That's my next rant for the day.
We tend to see ourselves in a better light than what reality is.
Yes.
And we tend to, like you said, project the struggles we have onto something or someone else so that we don't have to wrestle with the fact that maybe we are flawed. And I tend to view myself as flawed all the time until it comes to a situation where I'm like, no, but I'm right on this one. This one I'm totally right on. Therefore, everything else is the problem, not me. And I think every single human experiences that in multiple places. Jared said, what a rant.
Thank you, Jared.
Like there's multiple places where that's going to happen. And I think having the capacity to say, maybe this is a me issue and I cannot force that onto someone else. It's a conviction I may have for me, but that doesn't make it appropriate for me to convict everybody else around
Yes.
me or
Yes.
in the
And
or
I,
whatever.
I will say that there are people out there who have recognized that in themselves, and then they are teaching other people who may have the same problems that they have.
Sure.
So I'm not saying that if you have that you just have to be silent about it. Like that's not, there is a place to say, this is my struggle and these are things that I did to help and like to lead other people that may have that similar struggle. So I don't think that it shouldn't be talked about, or that if you have that, you should just, be silent about it. There definitely is a place for it. I think the problem comes in when that deficiency in you apply to everyone else, and you demonize other people who have, may not have the same issue. So just throw them out
Absolutely.
there, because I see people that, work with food addicts and people that do struggle with binging. And I do believe that it's a real thing that, someone might have
Oh
one of
yeah.
these substitute foods, and it, lead them straight back to the fast food restaurant or whatever. And so I don't want to say that talking about that is bad, but it's as that self-awareness, I think, needs to be more prevalent in people when they work through these things, I guess.
Absolutely. So I know Chris has already probably ducked out, but Chris Bear showed up.
Oh
A
man, we
belated
missed him.
hello. A belated hello. And then Karen is here. Hello, Miss Karen. And then obviously Jared showed up. And Cornel Cecil, hello. It's good to see y'all all here. And yeah, I think that just being able to extend to others that which you wish would be extended to you when it comes to these kind of things is a great policy for discussing various topics. I mean, we have loads of people in our lives who are content as content can be to sit there and eat a whole bunch of foods that Jared and I would never even consider touching. And we don't have a problem with that. I mean, not that it's really our place to have a problem with that, but at the same time, it's just like, they're going to sit there and they're going to have all of their carby foods. It's totally fine. They're going to have their sugar loaded sugar. Totally fine. We're going to sit over here, not sit over here, but we're going to sit with them. We're going to eat what we choose to eat, just like they're going to eat what they choose to eat. And we're never going to, condemn one another.
Right. Right.
So that
And recognizing, like, I always try to say this when I'm talking about changes I make to my diet or anything like that, is a year from now, I could be doing something completely different. And so even when I'm sitting there saying, I'm not choosing to do what they're doing, I'm choosing this, it's with the awareness that there might be something wrong with what I'm choosing right now. And I might learn something and it might make me change. And so, like, it's not set in stone. Like, I'm making the best choice in the moment, but we're always learning, we're always evolving and growing, and our bodies are changing, so we might need different things. Like, there's so many variables. So, and that, like, kind of keeps the pride down a little bit, like the ego, especially when you're looking at someone else's plate. You're like, I could be looking at my own plate, a year from now and thinking the same thing.
For sure. Absolutely. Like allowing ourselves the opportunity to shift while also staying true to what we believe is best for us at this point is such a cool feature to the whole like human experience. Like we're allowed to learn and grow and change. Like we're allowed.
Yes. Except when you have a YouTube channel. You're no longer allowed to change, or you'll be called out on it.
Yeah.
That was the thing you signed, when you started your YouTube channel.
And whenever you get
I will
married,
never change my mind on anything ever.
Same when you're married.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to change.
Speaking of married, Jared wants to know what flavor of keto chow you made for him.
Yep.
Any requests, Jared?
Any requests there, babe?
Jeff tried pistachio for the first time yesterday. He said he liked it. He said it also reminded him of Play-Doh.
Oh, well.
But he liked it. Yeah.
I mean, some kids liked eating Play-Doh when they were kids. So
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways,
that's fun.
Thought I'd throw that tidbit in there.
I don't think I have any pistachio in my pantry right now.
That is sad.
I'll have to go dig through and find the appropriate flavor for Senior Chief there. And
yeah, good work.
Yeah. Cornelius asked this question, and I think we might try to end on this question.
Okay.
Do you ever have to pack your own food when seeing friends or family? I pose the question to you first.
Okay. Not often. I will say. There were times in my life where I did, and I felt like I needed to have a lot more tight control over my diet than I do now. We don't get invited to lots of like dinners and stuff. So, for example, if we were invited to dinner and it was going to be lasagna or something where you can't just eat the meat, like it would be a
Without
little bit tricky. And there have been times where I felt like it was an appropriate, hospitable choice to just eat a little bit of whatever it was, knowing that I was going to feel it later. But I don't think my physical health is the most important thing. Some people do, and some people have a lot more extreme health conditions where they can't have that freedom. But for me, because of where my health is, I feel like it's appropriate for me oftentimes to choose the hospitable thing and then to deal with the ramifications later. And thankfully that doesn't happen often. That's extremely rare. If we were getting invited, every week or every, couple weeks, it would be a little bit different. But
Sure.
typically if there is an event that we're going to or a dinner, it's like a potluck where either I'm bringing something that I know I can eat or I know that I can pick through and find something. So I'm not the person that brings my Tupperware container to the dinner. And like I said, there are appropriate times for that, especially when you have very serious health conditions or you're training for a bodybuilding show or something like that. Like that's fine. It's not something I find that I have to do very often. How about you?
Excellent answer. In the very beginning, I always packed and brought with me options that I kept like in a little cooler bag with ice blocks so that if things were different than I anticipated, I would have something. And then when it comes to like visiting family, I know that I've got the ability to go and scrounge around, find something to eat if I am hungry. And nobody thinks that what Lindsey does anymore is as abnormal as it was in the beginning.
Mhm.
So I can easily modify in the moment.
Yes.
Excuse me. But for instance, we went to a couple of different Christmas parties where there were some buffets and whatnot. So I was able to pick and choose without too much of an issue. But there have been times when it's like, okay, we're going to be having, like we went to one family's house and it was Frito pie, basically like DIY Frito pie bar, and it was like they had a chili that was loaded with beans and corn and all kinds of things that I normally would not consume. And then in order like what you put on top of that or what you put that on top of was either white rice or corn chips. And it was like, I'm not going to do either of those. And then I've got this. So in that moment, just like you said, I chose to take a small amount and eat that and honor my host family by eating what they provided without any kind of conversation about anything else. It was just,
Yes.
we're just doing this and we're going to move on with our lives.
Mhm.
To this day though, I will probably bring food with me or an option with me.
Yes.
I would argue probably like 25 to 50% of the time, depending on who I'm going to see.
Yeah.
And it doesn't,
Yeah.
like you said, it doesn't happen often. And typically people are not surprised when I show up with like coffee in my hand. So I can
Mhm.
always judge up my coffee with some extra protein or with some calories if I feel like I need that. I can also choose to fast. Purse bacon is dangerous, Brenda, because you don't know who you're around and at what point they're going to be like, oh, you brought bacon. Thank you for sharing and contributing.
Michelle said that where did it go? That she's nursing. She always brings food. Where did that comment go? Anyways, always brings food, and that is totally the right on. When you are nursing hunger, it just
comes on.
happens. Yes.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think everyone understands that, especially other women who have had babies. So that's not weird at all. And then I was also going to mention if I'm not sure if there's going to be something or very much that I can have, eating ahead of time or
Yeah.
packing something, so you can just go into the bathroom and eat a few bites of something and then, go back to the party. So you're not stuck, because that's the worst, when you're actually legitimately hungry and everyone around you is eating all this delicious food that is not going to be good for you. So having some options like that, besides just bringing your own Tupperware container of your dinner and eating in front of everybody, I tend to choose the other options before I do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would recommend not using carnivore crisps if you're trying to be the secretive person running over to like a quiet area to eat, because those things are crispy.
Crunchy. Yes.
They
Crispy,
are
crunchy.
fantastic, delicious on every front. Those are going to get you like noticed in a heartbeat. And
Yes.
then it's like first bacon, like, oh, you brought meat to share with everybody.
Meat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. And then you have to explain why you're eating something different and not sharing.
Right. Right.
And then
And
it
then
gets
of course you
awkward.
wind up offending the host because it's like, why didn't you tell me you have this thing going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, and I feel that way, like when I'm hosting people, I want to know their likes and dislikes and their
Yeah.
allergies and all that. Like, I really want to know. So
Yes.
yeah, and just keep that in mind. And not everyone is the same, but keep in mind that the host may be really excited to, cater to whatever it is that you have. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, we have been on for an hour
My,
and 11 minutes when we
and
said
my
we
throat
were
is,
going to be a little shorter today.
yeah, my throat is definitely on the drier side, and
Yeah.
sitting in the glass fishbowl here
Well,
is starting to.
I guzzled down my coffee, and then I've been guzzling this, trying to get all my electrolytes in, and I really have to go to the bathroom.
I don't have to go to the bathroom, but I do need to stop and get some electrolytes, because so far today, all I've had is black coffee. I've been on a straight black coffee since yesterday situation, so need
Yeah.
to go test the things,
Get you some electrolytes.
get some electrolytes, possibly some energized reds. I don't even know yet. We'll see what happens.
Sounds great.
And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for showing up today and having this discussion with us. We really appreciate y'all being here. Next week, like usual, we will be over on Nili's channel, since we do the whole back and forth thing. So please make sure that you are subscribed to her. Hit the notification bell so that when she posts the live, you will be sure to know about it, even if you can't show up at that moment.
Yes. Awesome.
All right. We'll see you later, guys.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.